Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News. Thanks for joining us. Here are your top stories. What does leadership at Hotel Dieu Grace have to say about involuntary treatment? Plus, protecting environmentally sensitive areas in our city. We will tell you about the latest concerns. And EV drivers in Tecumseh might be getting a boost when it comes to easier access to charging your cars. That's later tonight. In Ontario, it began in Brampton. That city's mayor lobbying for forced treatment for some with addictions and mental health struggles. And since then, the chorus of voices has grown louder, including some at Windsor's City Hall. Now, the CEO of our lead healthcare facility for treating mental health and addictions issues is weighing in. He spoke with our Jennifer Lagrassa.
Here's where Windsor-Essex Hospital for Mental Health and Addiction stands on involuntary care.
Rehabilitation and treatment will only begin to work if the individual is ready to do that.
Involuntary care, which can involve putting someone against their will into treatment, is an idea politicians have been talking about. They see it as a way to help the ongoing homelessness and drug crises. A few weeks ago, Windsor's City Council sent a letter to the province saying that if it were to start up a pilot program involving this type of forced care, Windsor would want to take part. But experts say that the research isn't in favor of this kind of treatment. Hotel Dieu Grace Hospital is among those pointing to the evidence. It sent an open letter to the community to inform people about the complexities of involuntary care. They highlight that forced care can be worse for someone's recovery and mental health, and that a person is more likely to stick with recovery when they want it.
But we're just really concerned about knee-jerk reactions or statements around involuntary treatment. There's a reason why that used to be the case, and it doesn't work anymore.
Instead, Mara says he'd like them to focus on the success of other strategies. For example, the hospital is currently applying to get a homelessness addiction recovery treatment hub for the region. This would be funded by the province and would focus on helping people.
Let's take a step back. Let's see what this model does. I think we need to let it roll out, give it 6 to 12 months, study the data, understand the output. So I think to do anything otherwise right now would be a little premature.
Jennifer Lagrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
A coalition of environmental groups in Windsor is calling on the city to do more to protect environmentally sensitive areas. One area of concern around the Windsor Airport. Del Molnar has more.
These natural areas at the Windsor Airport are provincially significant environmental woodlands and wetlands. During a recent conference at the University of Windsor, former City Parks Director and Airport Manager Phil Roberts said the city and Invest Windsor Essex were trying to get the area developed.
To construct a synthetic graphite plant.
Derek Coronado is the coordinator of the Citizens Environment Alliance. He says the federal government put a stop to that project because it would have been too close to the airport. Still, that move and other concerns about a development threatening these areas has prompted environmental groups to call for their protection. Coronado says recent provincial legislation has made it easier to develop on these significant environmental areas.
It's called the Ontario Wetland Evaluation System. It's a scientific process of how they evaluate significance of wetlands. So provincially significant wetlands are determined based on that checklist, so to speak. So what they did was they weakened it to the point where now it's extremely difficult to establish provincially significance amongst wetlands when they're evaluated. And retroactively, they can go back into existing provincially significant wetlands with the new system of evaluating and downgrade those.
Coronado says these areas are important to both nature and people.
Those are natural heritage designated areas, provincially significant areas, so the highest level of protection. And the reason for that is because they're extremely important for habitat, for species, but also for ecological services that are provided to humans, such as flood control.
Ian Naisbitt is the chair of the Little River Enhancement Group. He's concerned about the Little River corridor as well.
We need to do the right thing. And the right thing is to respect these. We share this planet with a lot of animals and trees, and they're endangered. And I don't know where we get off that we can just come in here and tar and cement the whole place and not consider them.
Coronado says having the city enact conservation management plans for the areas will better protect them. He says so far only the Black Oak Heritage Park has a management plan. CBC News is trying to confirm whether there was a push to attract a factory to the airport lands, but it's known that the city put forth a proposal about 10 years ago to have the new acute care hospital built on the lands. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Fundraising efforts have been ramping up this month to buy new equipment for Windsor Regional Hospital. Dawson Chen explains why.
The region's biggest hospital has an urgent need for funding of its patient care equipment, according to the Windsor Regional Hospital Foundation, which has been campaigning for people to buy tickets to the Split the Pot lottery. The lottery is organized by a partnership of 68 Ontario hospitals, with proceeds from ticket sales divided among them. That's because hospital equipment costs aren't covered by the province. Instead, that responsibility falls on organizations like the WRH Foundation.
So the government covers basically the infrastructure, the staffing, and all of that, whereas the local community, they help and we support the equipment needs of the community, basically. We've recently raised money for a 3D mammogram machine. That's been really a crucial piece of equipment. We've also been raising for CT scanners. Those are obviously very, very important for the hospital functions. And then just general wheelchairs. We've been buying a lot of those lately too as well.
Windsor Regional Hospital's share of last year's lottery was around $80,000. This year, the foundation is hoping to reach $100,000. Other fundraising efforts include the foundation's spring golf tournament and ticketed dinners. There's also private sector donations, such as the $15 million the Soltz Family Foundation is contributing to the mega hospital. Although this is the way local hospital equipment has been funded for generations, the Ontario Health Coalition says it's not ideal.
Obviously, those communities that are larger have more capacity to raise money locally. Also, the wealthier communities have more capacity to raise money locally. So smaller communities, communities that are poorer, will have less capacity to raise money often. There's a big variability across the province. So no, it's not the best way to do it.
Despite the WRH Foundation's declaration of an urgent need, Osborne has a reassurance for the community.
We are never at a point where we're in a dire strait where we don't have the equipment to take care of our patients at this time. What we always are looking to is to improve and to continuously buy new equipment to have the best possible care for Windsor Essex.
Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Chris Potter joins us now for a quick look at weather. Chris, how's it looking out there?
Well, obviously, Kat, we started off with a lot of sunshine today, but, well, it was a little on the cold side. Temperatures across many of the communities across southwestern Ontario dropped down towards 0 degrees. Now the sun obviously has set, the cloud continues to move in, and the combination of cloud and southeasterly winds ahead of the next system will kind of stabilize temperatures. There's not going to be a dramatic drop in those temperatures thanks to the cloud acting like insulation and the southerly winds continuing to kind of stabilize those temperatures. But we do have rain in the forecast. It's not scheduled to move in for this evening, so we'll be dry through the first half of the overnight. Then rainfall moves in as temperatures stall around 7 for tomorrow morning. Have your umbrella handy. Give yourself a little extra time for the morning commute. Steady rainfall will begin to ease to showers through the afternoon with a high near 9. We'll talk weekend coming up, Kat.
Sounds good. Thanks for that, Chris.
You got it.
In other local news now, Windsor is still trying to buy the land needed to move the housing and homelessness hub out of the old Waterworld building. Officials initially said they would need to force the owner to sell the site because negotiations failed. Now they believe a negotiated deal might be possible.
We're hoping that we don't have to expropriate, but I can't comment exactly right now what we'll be doing. But I mean, the intent is, and that's why we're working with the owner of the property to ensure that we can try to find a willing buyer, willing seller kind of situation here.
This is where the city plans to build a $50 million building to offer programming and supportive housing for people who are homeless. The privately owned industrial site was selected by City Council during closed-door meetings earlier this year. Administration said the initial timeline for expropriation was 4 to 8 months, but there is no deal yet. It will be years before the hub known as H4 leaves its current location.
Definitely 3 years. If we actually have to move to an expropriation, then it may take a little bit longer because of that expropriation process through court. But as of right now, everything that we've been communicating to council, minimum 3 years to probably closer to 4 years is still the time frame that we're estimating.
If you drive an electric vehicle in and around Tecumseh, charging that EV could soon be much more convenient. Jennifer LaGrassa tells us why.
6 new electric vehicle chargers are going to be coming to the town of Tecumseh. 3 of them are going to be right here at Town Hall, and another 3 will be at a library. The provincial government is going to be funding these, and they're going to be the first fast-charging EV chargers in Tecumseh. The town of Tecumseh will then have 14 EV chargers in total. In an email, the town of Tecumseh's Director of Community and Recreation Services says that they're pleased to be able to offer these and that they're working with the Ontario government in terms of a timeline. So when these are going to be built and activated. In a news release, the provincial government said that this is part of its plan to bring more EV chargers to places outside of urban centers. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Tecumseh.
During his election campaign, Donald Trump promised mass deportations of illegal immigrants. He doesn't take office until January, but his promise has raised concerns about a surge of asylum seekers into Canada. Immigration Minister Mark Miller was asked about border security earlier today.
I think when it comes to our southern border and the U.S.'s northern border, you see there the alignment of interests and making sure that it is safe, that it is secure. We share information with our American partners, and we're able to apprehend folks that cross the border in a regular fashion or in a fashion where they're not entitled to do it.
Security is being tightened for Taylor Swift's upcoming concerts in Toronto. A terrorism threat canceled the Eras Tour stop in Vienna this past summer. Toronto police say that people can expect to see a significant and visible police presence both inside and outside the venue. But as Megan Fitzpatrick found out, nothing can dampen the excitement of the Swifties.
Welcome to the Eras Tour.
The highest grossing tour of all time is finally landing on Canadian soil. 6 sold-out shows start Thursday night, and fans couldn't be more excited whether they have tickets or not. Some fans lined up early this morning in frigid temperatures to buy Swift concert tour merchandise. The most sought-after item is the blue crew neck sweatshirt that's only available at the tour stops. It can't be bought through Swift's website. It sold out yesterday but was restocked in time for today's shoppers. Some of the shoppers do have tickets to the upcoming shows and can't wait to see Swift perform.
First time goer to the Eras Tour, so I'm just super excited to get a souvenir and bring home something home for my daughter.
We're just really excited to be here in Toronto and see the biggest artist in the world. You know, she has such a positive message, and to be surrounded by a community, it's just so positive. Everyone loves each other.
I'm super excited to be here. This was a birthday present for my wife after she opened up her new business back in Virginia, and just really excited to see such a positive message and such a kind of a strong female role model individual for our daughter and for other women, across the world.
As fans prepare getting their outfits and glitter ready, the city has been preparing too, even naming an honorary route between City Hall and the Rogers Centre, Taylor Swift Way. The custom-made street signs are being auctioned off to raise funds for the Daily Bread Food Bank. Toronto's expecting thousands of visitors to come to the city, generating tens of millions of dollars in economic activity. The city has a crowd management plan in place. The Emergency Operations Center will be up and running on concert nights, and there'll be extra subways and buses on duty to get fans around. Now, fans who do not have tickets are being advised not to come down to the Rogers Centre. There'll be a perimeter set up around the stadium for ticket holders only. But there are plenty of festivities going on throughout the city, including a tailgate party at the nearby convention center. Megan Fitzpatrick, CBC News, Toronto.
A diamond-studded necklace linked to Marie Antoinette was sold today at an auction in Geneva for 4.26 million Swiss francs, or more than 6 million Canadian dollars.
It's likely or possible that some of these diamonds may have come from the famous diamond necklace that led to the downfall of Marie Antoinette.
The piece contains 300 carats in diamonds, and the piece was at the center of a scandal in the 1780s known as the Diamond Necklace Affair. A woman pretending to be the French queen acquired the necklace in Marie Antoinette's name without payment. A trial found her blameless, but it did nothing to alleviate the queen's growing notoriety for extravagance. Live look outside there. We'll see you right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the Middle East, the Israeli military is saying millions of people had taken to bomb shelters after a Hezbollah attack. Meanwhile, Israel has carried out another heavy bombardment of Lebanon's capital. But first, we begin in Washington, where Donald Trump has made his return, meeting with his predecessor at the White House, both leaders committing to a peaceful transfer of power.
I'm Katie Simpson in Washington, D.C., covering the transfer of power from the Biden administration to the new Trump administration. Today marks a moment of celebration for Donald Trump and his Republican Party.
Congratulations. Thank you.
The president-elect returned to the White House to meet with President Joe Biden to ensure there is a coordinated and peaceful transfer of power.
Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need, and we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So,
good.
Welcome.
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate very much a transition that's so smooth. It'll be as smooth as it can get.
Trump did not hold one of these meetings for Biden 4 years ago when the shoe was on the other foot. Trump refused to acknowledge his election loss with his attempt to remain in power, leading to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. But Trump's return to Washington, with Republicans controlling the White House, the Senate, and now the House, it is the start of a remarkable political comeback. Trump will be working closely with Republican Senator John Thune, who was selected today by his colleagues to be the Senate Majority Leader.
We have a mandate from the American people, a mandate not only to clean up the mess left by the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda, but also to deliver on President Trump's priorities.
Thune is considered a traditional establishment Republican. In 2020, he pushed back against Trump's efforts to remain in power, and he's against Trump's plan to impose widespread tariffs on imports, which is something business leaders and decision makers in Canada will take note of. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Air raid sirens have been wailing across much of Israel, with the military saying Hezbollah had launched an attack on the northern and central regions. In an online post that carried a map showing the areas under threat, the IDF said millions of Israelis are currently in bomb shelters as a result of heavy barrage of rockets. That statement follows an earlier attack in which Hezbollah says it targeted Israel's military headquarters and defense ministry in Tel Aviv for the first time. The IDF has neither confirmed nor denied that claim, but we do know at least one house has been damaged in the attack. There are no reports of any injuries. Israel has carried out another heavy bombardment of Lebanon's capital, its third wave of deadly strikes in 24 hours. One blast in the southern suburbs of Beirut was caught on camera. Ahead of the raids, the Israeli military issued warnings to civilians in Arabic on social media. Lebanese health officials say another strike just south of the capital has killed at least 6 people and wounded more than a dozen others. The Israeli military says it is targeting Hezbollah strongholds in the region. CBC News cameras are in Latvia, where Canadian troops are leading an international NATO brigade. For the first time in decades, they're performing one of the largest military exercises of its kind. Briar Stewart is there, giving us rare access to the operation.
I'm on a military base near Riga, Latvia, and I'm in a Canadian LAV 6. This is a light armored vehicle, and they're basically doing a demonstration for the media here, but this is all part of a large NATO exercise called Resolute Warrior. It's the largest international exercise that Canada has led since the 1980s. And this is significant because Canada has helped to form a brigade here. There are 3,500 troops involved in this exercise. Over 2,000 of them are from Canada. And this is all part of a NATO effort to beef up security in the Baltics. Latvia shares a nearly 300-kilometer-long border with Russia. And after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the full-scale invasion which began in 2022, they really wanted to beef up security in the Baltics, and Canada is playing a big part of it. And part of this exercise is figuring out all of the logistics and how to integrate all of the different equipment and troops from different NATO nations. 13 countries are involved in this exercise, and there's going to be an annual exercise held here every year. Briar Stewart, CBC News, near Riga, Latvia.
When we come back, Chris Potter will join us for more on weather. Chris Potter is back with us for a look at our weather. Chris, I've got an umbrella in my car. I am ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, it does look like it's going to be fairly wet. And I got to ask you a question, Kat. Sunny and cool or cloudy and mild?
Sunny and cool.
Sunny and cool, okay.
Always.
So
take
this morning,
the sunshine. Take that happiness. Yes.
So this morning was your start to the day. A beautiful start. Lots of sunshine, obviously a little bit on the cool side. Unfortunately, Kat, we do start to see a lot more cloud cover build in. So we're not going to have sun-filled days over the next 5 days. It doesn't look overly wet, with the exception, of course, late tonight and through the day tomorrow, primarily during the morning. But after that, temperatures actually stabilize, especially for overnight lows. They're not going to be dropping significantly. Normal daytime high for this time of year, we'll call it 8, because by tomorrow it will be 8.4. 11.5 was your high today. 1.3 is the normal overnight low, and dropping down close to 0 early this morning. Temperatures themselves are still at around 8 for Windsor, 10 through Chatham, 4 in London, so it's going to be a little bit cooler the further north away from the lake shores you get. We feature a southeasterly wind. That, combined with a lot of cloud cover moving in, will stabilize those temperatures. So most areas will actually be in the mid to maybe even the upper single digits for the overnight. That's when the rain starts to build in. This is all thanks to a moisture-laden system building in, and there's even some thunderstorms building in towards Illinois, and the bulk of the rainfall starting to lift in towards Indiana. That will eventually creep up towards lower Michigan and move into southwestern Ontario. And this is going to happen once again during the second half of the overnight, primarily over Windsor, Chatham, Sarnia. London, you look dry until we get into the further stages of the morning. And as we get into the afternoon, although there's still wet weather, the intensity of the rain will start to back off. The rainfall becomes much more scattered. And as we head into the evening, we'll be drying out, but we're still going to hold on to a lot of cloud cover with maybe a couple of hit or miss showers out there. Once we step forward into the day on Friday, we're still locked in with gray skies, a few sunny breaks in towards London, possibly Sarnia. Northerly winds kick in for Friday for a few spotty showers in towards Sarnia and the southern shores of Lake Huron, but it looks like the rest of the region will remain dry but fairly cloudy. Once we get through Friday evening, overnight, the clouds will start to clear out nicely, and we should get back into mostly sunshine to a mix of sun and cloud, depending on your location, as we head into the day on Saturday. So for overnight lows, like I suggested, mid to upper single digits as that rainfall builds in. As we head into tomorrow afternoon, we still hold on to southeasterly winds, likely gusting to around 40 kilometers an hour. Once again, the rainfall will continue to ease to showers and then lift towards the north and east. As we get into Friday, temperatures should pop up despite a northerly wind to 12, 11 for us on Saturday, a dry weather day. Dry through Sunday during the daytime hours will become mostly cloudy with a high of 13. Showers move in late evening overnight, but we should be dry for Monday.
Still getting those double digits. I love it. Thanks for that, Chris.
You got it.
Thanks to you all for watching. We will see you back here tomorrow.